Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video on the markets, your middle of the day market update. There's quite a lot to talk about because obviously in the morning I made I made an update, and in some videos I was actually correct. I mean, when we spoke about Bitcoin, what I told you is that there was a lot of uncertainty. That we went into a Coinbase Bitcoin discount for the first time in a while today. And that in general a pullback was to be expected. Now, what I obviously did not expect is the news that we got. All right, the news that we got, which has so far also caused a pretty major pullback in the stock markets, as you can see right now, which is filling the gap at this point of time, but has also caused the volatility index to surge and gold to surge. So that means more instability. The news that we got is some sort of a renewal, of course, with the of the trade war between the US and the EU. All right, with a post of Trump, and possibly more has happened. I've been recording a couple of videos for the last 20 minutes. So maybe I missed something, but that happened, right? So that means in this video, we'll talk a little bit more about that and what effects that has on Bitcoin. But that means for XRP, for example, I was wrong, all right? Because of the news, in my opinion, of course, we were unable to hold that breakout. Now, in my defense, I did tell you to be cautious and that I did not long XRP yet. And then when we're talking about Solana, for example, I told you this would happen, right? Or I told you that this was a realistic possibility, and the same with Dogecoin. So in that sense, I'm pretty happy with the videos I made this morning. Now, personally, I was in a pretty big long that hit stop loss. That hurts, but sometimes there's nothing you can do, right? But this news itself, look, at this point of time, it seems fine. The S&P 500 is holding support. It's bearish, so definitely be careful about that, and especially with the move we've had with Bitcoin so far, which has been decent but not amazing. This could have been a much stronger move. I mean, there was much more volume pushing it down than getting that recovery. But what was I on about? So yeah, I mean, look, stocks are not bullish, right? And I would definitely, especially in the light of the volatility index and gold, I would be careful here. This is not the time, I think, to scale into long positions. Not yet, at least. Ultimately, my bias remains bullish as long as we're holding this level here at 107,000, which is the most important support level for Bitcoin. But even if we hold this level at 105,000, I'm bullish as well. But ultimately, I would be slightly careful, and I would also be leaning towards expecting more of a pullback. But fundamentally, what I wanted to say is that, you know, the development of Bitcoin and just in general the financial markets and how risk on the markets will be, that will be very much based on the development of this trade war, right? Or this reignition of the trade war. If we see de-escalation, that's bullish. We'll be able to find support, stability, potentially rally up higher later. Although I do think that we have lost the rally here in the 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin. I would say it's unlikely we're going for new all-time highs, but still stability and new all-time highs later, that's a possibility, and that's equally as good, I'd say. That's very tradable. But that very much depends on escalation or no escalation, right? And if we can believe what the EU has done so far, I'm not certain if we're going to get de-escalation already, right? So therefore, as the volatility index is increasing, as we've known from the last couple of times, the EU doesn't necessarily back down. I would say it's best to assume that we're going lower, right? So that Bitcoin is going to drop down good into 107,000, potentially spike down lower as well, find support there, and balance on top of that. That looks that looks at least like the safest thing to assume for Bitcoin. And then from there we'll see, right? And from there I'll be back with new daily updates. But that does seem to be most likely, unless we get de-escalation or some very strong buying coming in from the US. But at this point of time, that hasn't been the case. I mean, we do have a Coinbase Bitcoin premium again, but the volume has been relatively mild this start of the US session. Now, XRP lost the breakout, most likely to drop back down to the bottom of the range right here at 2.32, 2.26. I still do think the bullish breakout is most likely, but at this point of time, it is most likely for XRP, for SUI, for Dogecoin, for Ethereum to stay within balance, to stay within ranges. The only coin, talking about altcoins here, that actually has some real strength is Solana. Solana is the only coin that's actually holding the breakout right here. And not only Solana is doing that, which this is great. I would still say that Bitcoin needs to find support very, very soon if we want to see Solana rally up higher. But technically, it still looks most likely that Solana will rally higher, right? So those are my thoughts. What I said this morning is still what I expect, which was a pullback, possibly, but then a move into 190, 192. And one of the things that I like a lot about Solana is that the ecosystem is also doing very well, right? So that's what we spoke about earlier this morning as well. Jupiter is very strong right here. That's also a great project. Would I buy it right now? Definitely no. But still, definitely a coin to keep your eyes on. And outside of that, there's not much. I mean, personally, at points of times like these, I tend to focus on the major coins. So that's Solana, Dogecoin, Sui, XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Most of those have gotten back into balance, right? Only Solana looks quite interesting, and so that is what I would focus on. And then outside of that, there's not much. WorldCoin is still on the higher time frames, extremely strong. Aave still looks quite strong, but that's about Fetch as well. Fetch also looks quite strong, but that's very similar to WorldCoin, right? So that's Fetch or ASI. But those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know about the markets for now. So if you do have any questions, anything, let me know down in the comments. But for now, take care, be cautious, have a great rest of your day, have a great weekend in advance, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.